47% of real estate agents in America did 0 transactions in 2023.
What's the first year like for a realtor? Like, do you really sell houses? Is it like selling sunset?
A lot of people get into real estate thinking it's going to be like selling sunset. That, I'm going to have a super flexible lifestyle. I'm going to make a ton of money.
So you're always marketing yourself even when you're not working, basically.
Our real estate motto is 99% drama free. In negotiation too, you let the other side talk, and a lot of times, even if they're trying to be a hard ass, they will uncover what's really important to their client.
If you've ever thought about becoming a realtor, this episode's for you. Welcome to the Sharma Show. I'm your host, Sharma, and today we have Sproul, a seasoned realtor who's going to walk us through the steps of becoming a successful real estate agent. If you like the episode, please like and subscribe. Let's dive in. Sproul.
Sproul, close.
Sproul.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that. I've known you for a while.
Yeah, it's all good.
So let's dive right in. If there's somebody right now thinking, I want to be a real estate agent, where do they start? Like, what's the first step?
Sure. So every state is different, but in Florida, it's a 63-hour course.
Okay.
It's honestly a pretty low barrier of entry. It's not that hard to get your real estate license. Okay. It's hard to survive in the real estate industry. Mm-hmm. But you need to go to a real estate school first. So I went to Gold Coast Real Estate School, which is a very popular one in South Florida. You take the 63-hour course, and then once you do that and get your fingerprints and background check and everything, then you're eligible to take the exam.
Okay. And this could be virtual too, so you don't really have to go to school and sit in a course, so you can just do it online.
Yeah, so I recommend, if you can, to do the course in person. Okay. If you do it online, you're not listening to an instructor usually. Mm-hmm. It's like, here's a giant textbook, read this, and then take the test. Mm-hmm. So it's harder to know by doing that, like, what's important for the test. Whereas, like, if you're in the classroom with a teacher, they're gonna point out what's important to you to understand about the test. But I would say 10% of us probably do 90% of the business. 47% of real estate agents in America did 0 transactions in 2023.
Interesting.
So that's a huge number.
I also feel that there's a lot of, like, I know some doctors and some, business entrepreneurs who have a real estate license on the side and they don't really use it. They might like recertify or whatever, but they don't, really sell houses. Maybe they used it one time to buy their own house or something like that.
A lot of people do that. If they want to, or usually it's people that have aspirations of being an investor, right, will get it to do their own deals. And some of those people may end up being investors, some may not. But it's not a bad thing. If somebody does keep renewing their license, but they don't want to do real estate transactions, they can refer those deals to somebody like me and still get paid a percentage on them without having to do the work, just because their license is active.
Wow, I did not know that. Yeah. So I need to sign up for that.
Yeah, we can't pay referrals to non-licensed professionals. Okay. But we can pay a referral fee on the deal to a licensed person.
What percent was that?
What percentage of the transaction? Yeah. So whatever the commission is on my side, 25% to the referring agent is what's common. That's kind of a normal. Yeah.
Okay. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's say somebody passed the exam. What's the next step? You can just start selling houses, or?
No. So after getting your license, you have to hang your license with a brokerage. So you can't just go operate on your own. When you get into real estate in the state of Florida, you have to work under a real estate broker for at least 2 years before you can take the course and apply and get your broker's license and take that exam. Okay. So the broker's license is different than the regular real estate license.
So once you're active, do you need to recertify every so often your license?
Every 2 years, you have continuing education that you have to take to keep your license active. Okay. So in your first 2 years, it's an additional 45 hours of post-licensing. Okay. And then every 2 years after that, I want to say it's like 13 hours or something. It's a lot less.
Okay, but it's not too bad. Yeah. Like it's not a hard exam too. Okay.
No, and there's not.
It's not an exam. It's just like it's continuing. Like we have CME, and you just have to do courses online.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now you're licensed and ready to go. What's the first year like for realtor? Like, do you really sell houses? Is it like selling sunset? Or
it's not like selling sunset. So here's kind of another staggering statistic for you. 86% of people that get their real estate license are out of the business within those 2 years. They don't renew their license. 86%. So you got 14%
who
that
are
yeah.
Either thriving or just hanging in there.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
Yeah, one way or another. Yeah. But 86% of people decide it's not worth it for them to keep that license because they're not doing anything or much. But for most people, the first year is extremely challenging. And that's why such a high failure rate. I think a lot of people get into real estate thinking it's going to be like selling sunset. That's, I'm going to have a super flexible lifestyle. I'm going to make a ton of money. And
wear nice clothes.
Yeah, I'm going to wear nice clothes. And there's a time for that, right? But you have to build a business from scratch first. Right. You're building a business that nobody knows exists at first. Right. And there's a lot of different routes you can go for that.
Because it's not really like a job where you're getting a salary, right? And even those can be tough. But imagine doing it, being new, and then doing it all by yourself.
For me, when I started in business, I joined a team that their main way of doing business was cold calling. Okay. So it was, internet leads coming in. Yeah. It was Zillow and realtor.com and all that. And so I was just, pounding the phone all day. I was 25 and I was not ready to approach my friends and family about building a network and becoming their go-to guy. Right. I wish I had known how to do that then, but I didn't really know how to do that when I was starting out. So the cold calling option was another avenue to build the business. And it worked. I mean, I closed about 65 transactions in the first 2 years by doing that. Okay. And then after 2 years, I shifted my business to probably what you know me for, which is more of a networking, relationship-based, referral-based type of business. Okay. And that way of building your business requires you to go out and meet people. Right. And it's not always comfortable, but people can learn to do that. Yeah. Even if it's not natural. Right. So our brokerage is very different from most. In most brokerages, when you go there to have an interview, you're being recruited. They want you to sign on the dotted line that day because most brokerages play a numbers game because they know 10% are going to stick. In our brokerage, we kind of do the opposite, where we will put an agent through a 5-step interview process, meeting back and forth 5 times to make sure they're the right fit for our culture. But one of those steps is to have them take a DISC test, which is a personality type test. Okay. So that we know, how does this person want to be coached? How does this person want to be talked to? And typically,
what kind of partner or mentor would they do well with? Well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I have to be able to, because I'm the mentor for our brokerage. So I have to be able to adapt to whatever their personality type is, whether it's an agent or a client.
Okay. Yeah. And then going back to the building, of clients and relationships, what you said cold calling is an option. Do you think that is going to be taken over by virtual assistants or AI very soon, or do you think there's still room for that to start out?
I already get a ton of those calls. Do you? I get calls all day that I can tell are AI. So that will, that definitely exists, but the human, no matter how much AI takes over, the human element is always something that humans crave, and the human connection piece. So that is a very hard way to build your business is by cold calling. So it's not what I recommend to people. It's not what I teach my agents, but it is what helped me for the first couple of years to get it off the ground. And the hard part about that is that if you are building your business by calling people that don't know you every single day, then you're starting every day and every year and every month at zero, because you have to go find new relationships all the time. Whereas when you build by relationship and network and referrals, now my phone rings like, hey, can you come sell my house? My friend said, you're great at what you do, so that in the relationship and referral based business style, it becomes, where your phone rings and you're getting calls over time.
And I'm sure that comes with time.
For sure.
Not immediately.
Absolutely.
What's the most unconventional way that you found clients? If there is any.
Yeah, I've met people at a happy hour at a bar or something and just had a quick conversation with them, and maybe exchanged information and got in touch once or twice, but maybe didn't see each other in person for years and then got a call like, hey, can we come work with you? So I've had some of that. But
alcohol is recommended.
Alcohol is definitely recommended. Yeah, it's a lubricator. I've built a lot of my network at happy hours and networking events and stuff like that. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
People open up.
So you're always marketing yourself even when you're not working, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about social media? Do you do that a lot?
I do. And there are a lot of successful agents in our brokerage that don't do it, but I find that it's an extremely easy touch point. And if you look at my social media, it's like a highlight reel of business, family, fitness, and because people don't just want to see the houses you're selling, they get bored by that and they feel like they're being sold to. So nobody wants to see just that, but it's certainly an easy and free way to remind people that you're active in business and that you're doing well and that you're never too busy to help. So yeah, I use it a lot.
What about when it comes to actually selling a house, in the skill of negotiation or problem solving? How did you get accustomed to that, and how do you teach that to your new younger generation too?
Great question. It is, a lot of it is about listening more than you talk. In negotiation too, you let the other side talk, and a lot of times, even if they're trying to be a hard ass, they will uncover what's really important to their client. And you got to listen for those cues to be able to use them in the negotiation. I teach, so our real estate motto is 99% drama free, because we know there's always going to be drama in a real estate transaction. But if you're buying a house, you shouldn't have to know about all the drama that's happening behind the scenes. It's my job to mitigate a lot of it before it even gets to you. And if you get an inspection report back and something freaks you out on it, it's my job to stay calm while you freak out. It's okay for you to freak out because you don't do this all the time, right? Yes. But I see inspection reports every day and I know that stuff is fixable. So what I need to do is stay calm, keep it drama free, find a solution. And so that's what we teach all our agents. All of that starts before you ever buy a house though. So once somebody is in that beginning stage, we always do a buyer consultation. And in that buyer consultation, I tell them ahead of time, here's what's going to happen in your inspection period. You're going to get back a 50 or 70 page inspection report that's probably going to scare you. And my job is to go through that whole thing and find the things we can negotiate. Because we know what sellers are going to be willing or what they should be willing to negotiate on. Mm-hmm. Anything broken, dangerous, hazardous, not cosmetic things typically. Yeah.
Coming back to the inspection and the being a therapist too, do you have any interesting stories to share?
About what? The inspection part?
About just the overall selling process. Nightmares, good, bad.
I'll tell you on the negotiation side. I heard this quote once that said, "Negotiation is a dance, and it takes two to tango." Mm. So what that really means, though, is, for example, I sold this property recently. We were listed at $2.5 million, mm-hmm. and the buyers came in at $2 million flat on it. Okay. And so my sellers were like, tell them to go kick rocks, for lack of better words. And we kind of came back to them and we're like, we can't work with this. If you want to come back and bring us another offer, we'll try to work with you, but there's nothing we can do with this. Right. And they did. So they waited like a week and then brought us back another offer that was much, much higher. Okay. Because we held out on them and didn't counter them in that case. And then even with the offer that they brought back to us, the negotiation to get that deal just to the under contract phase took about 2 weeks, which is not a normal deal. Mm-hmm. Like if you're watching $1 Million Listing or Selling Sunset, the agents are sitting across from the table negotiating, and that's BS. Yeah. On a $500,000 house, that negotiation should take 24 hours. Mm-hmm. On a $2 million house, it can take a little longer. And at that level, you have wealthier, more successful people with slightly bigger egos too, mm-hmm. and they both know they're right. So,
or think they're right.
Yeah, exactly. But we found a middle ground and got that house closed. But that's not normal.
What about when a deal falls through? How do you deal with that mentally? Because there's a lot of work that goes through into, getting to that point even where, you get an inspection done and then the buyers are like, no, we don't want to go through this.
Yeah. There are, I'll tell you, it doesn't happen in my business that much anymore. Mm-hmm. But it's still, honestly, we also have kind of a quote that we live by in the brokerage that no one deal makes or breaks my year. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of have to look at that. There's not really a time when I just have one deal under contract. Mm-hmm. So if a deal falls through, I'm sympathetic for the buyer and the seller, of course, and losing out on that situation and not mm-hmm. being the right one for them. But it doesn't cause me to lose sleep at night mm-hmm. anymore. In my first couple of years, it might have been tougher, but honestly, I know that it was not supposed to end up that that was not the one for them, and that's okay. The reality is that buyer, if I'm working with a buyer and they pull out of a transaction because they realize mm-hmm. it's not the one for them, they're gonna use me to go buy something else. Yeah. We still have a relationship. I'm not gonna sit there and try to sell them on why that is the one for them. Right. I'm here to be a consultant, and the last thing I want, because my business is so referral based, mm-hmm. the last thing I want is for them to move forward on that deal and be unhappy with their house.
Right, and be dissatisfied and regrettably.
That doesn't help my reputation or the future of my business. So I would rather us pull out of that deal and go find them something else they're gonna be happy with.
What about the work-life balance in your profession? Do you feel like the job ever stops? Like, how do you draw that line where clients don't text you or call you at 8 p.m.?
My phone goes to do not disturb at 8 p.m. Okay. So they probably will get the point. But I also and if there are times where I might still respond after mm-hmm. 8. The life of an agent in their first few years, it's very hard to get that business off the ground if you already have a family and you got to take care of kids after hours mm-hmm. and stuff like that, because most of your showings when you're starting out are after hours. because you're typically working at price points where people work 9 to 5 and you've got to show properties after 5 and on weekends, and you're holding open houses on weekends. So the first few years are like that for most agents. And for some agents, it's like that for their entire career. We have a different model in our brokerage where for probably about the past 5 years, I hire another agent as what's called my apprentice. And that agent is paid full time, not based on commission, but they're paid what I pay them to be my right hand. And they know up front that means I have a 2-year-old and 3-year-old right now and one on the way. So they know that means after hour showings are on them. They know that means open houses on weekends. Usually that's going to be my assistant holding that open house. So there are ways to leverage and get that work-life balance, but you kind of have to hit a certain level first to be able to bring somebody in to help. You know, I'm very fortunate about that.
What do you think about the trends in the real estate market? Like, I'm sure it's not like a salary position or a business where you consistently get that paycheck. If the market's down, then you don't have that security or whatever. Do you think that is one of the negatives in the business, or?
Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to say this without sounding cocky, but in 2023 and 2024 have both been lower years in the amount of transactions happening in the market. And my business has grown year over year, both years. And the main reason for that is because we're so relationship based. But again, in your first couple years, your paychecks are a roller coaster. And you've got to be able to, when you have a great month and then you have a nothing month, and you have a great month and a nothing month, and you have to be able to kind of budget for that financially and emotionally, you know?
Do you think a lot of realtors start out as doing this as a side hustle while having a full-time job?
Definitely. I actually was working nights in a different industry. I was in the music industry, working in recording studios. Okay. And did you know that?
No, I did not. I'm surprised.
When I got my real estate license, I worked at DJ Khaled's studio.
Oh, really?
At We the Best. Yeah. Yeah, in North Miami. And but that was,
you should have that on your Instagram.
I should. You scroll down far enough in my Instagram, you'll see it. But that was a nighttime job. Okay. So I was only doing that at night, and it wasn't progressing as fast as I wanted it to, because in the studio world, you have to wait for somebody to move out of a role before you can move up. It's not just like the harder you work, the faster you move up. Like in real estate it is. So I was really attracted to real estate because of that, because I wanted to progress faster. So I got my real estate license thinking this will be a side hustle. Okay. And then I sold 29 houses my first year, and I was like, I love you, studio, but I gotta go. But it's very common for agents starting out to bartend a couple nights a week, or, you know, serve tables, have some kind of side job that they do while they get their business off the ground. What I will say though is people that get into real estate thinking that it will always be a side hustle with no intention of ever considering it as a full-time thing, typically they can't put enough time into it to ever get it off the ground. So that's where that 86% of agents is that will retire that license pretty quickly. Even if you're going to have a side job, you still have to be willing to treat real estate like a full-time job. And that's a lot for people, but that's kind of what it takes to survive and pay your bills while you build this other business, you know?
What do you think about people who are online, who are wholesaling and flipping, and every time I open YouTube, there's always somebody trying to sell or teach how to sell a house?
Yeah. Those people are probably making more money by selling courses than they are flipping and wholesaling. Here's the reality. I'm not gonna speculate on the ethics of wholesaling right now, because there is a lot to unpack in that. And I'm sure there are people that do it in a very good and genuine way and help people in the process. And there are a lot of people that don't and take advantage of people. And that side is very unethical. With all of that being said, and regardless of all that, there are people making a living as wholesalers. It's their full-time job. I don't know same thing. I don't know anybody that took the wholesaling course and then did it as a side hustle and made an extra 50 grand a year just doing it as a side hustle. But I do know wholesalers that do it professionally for a living. And it's what they do every single day and they make a living. Same thing with flipping houses. Flipping houses is the least passive type of real estate investing. It's the most active type of real estate investing. If you've never tried to manage a contractor in your own house,
oh my God,
I
could never do it.
It's like, and again, like there's some great contractors. Contractors get a bad rap just like realtors do because there's so many bad ones, and then there's the good ones.
I have some horror stories.
Yeah,
for you.
No, I'm sure. But if you're a flipper, there are a lot of pieces to that job. You've got to go find discounted properties, which is very hard, especially in South Florida and in this market. Then you've got to have your team ready to go, and you've got to know how much that remodel is going to cost, and you have to know what that property is going to resell for. So that's where usually somebody would lean on me to figure out what would it resell for. But again, there are people that flip professionally and that's their full-time job and they do it well. And then there's a lot of people that try it and dabble and lose money and that's a lot of risk.
I always wanted to do that until I did some renovations in my own house and I was like, God, no, I can't. It's a lot of work and there's so many surprises. It's real. You never know what's going to come up when you tear down something. Oh, the plumbing's old or this is not connected right or something. And then the city regulations, that's the worst part. And there's so many hoops to jump.
Yep. And professional flippers can know that even if they find something behind the wall, they know what it costs ahead of time and they still know how to come out on top. They can assume the worst and still know that they can make a profit. And that takes a lot of learning, to understand all that.